Hi, shalom, everybody. Wouldn't it be nice to know? Know what? It would be nice to know. What? Life. We see life in segments, and we don't know. Here's a story for you. One of the great mystics and great Hasidic leaders who believed firmly that everything happens for a reason was charged by his master, his teacher, to go to a certain place. It was actually quite scenic. It was a lake area, like a picnic area. And he said, take some books with you and spend the day observing. Of course, he had implicit faith that his rabbi and teacher and mentor would not send him on a wild goose chase. So he prepared himself for a day's of studying in a distance from the lake. Anyway, to accelerate the story, he notices how a rich man comes, well-dressed, and he's coming with his lunch, and he spreads a blanket, and he sits down and he relaxes, and he has a bite, and after around an hour or so, he leaves. Folds up the blanket, and as he's bending, the wallet slips out of his pocket. But this rich man did not realize it, and he goes into his coach. Not too long later, comes a fellow who you could certainly see that he is poor, and he's down on his luck, his clothes are not clean, and he sits down with a big sigh. And as he's sitting down, he looks around and he notices the wallet. Opens up the wallet, he sees a sizable amount of money, and he shouts, "Thank you, Hashem, thank you, I'm rich." Meanwhile, the rabbi who's observing this, like, huh? Not too long later comes a third person. This person is a scholar. He's dressed in the rabbinic garb, and perhaps he came from an intense day of study. And he's sitting to relax. And as he's relaxing by the river, looking at the calm water, the coach that had the rich man pulls up, and the rich man runs down, and he sees the rabbi. He says, "Did you see the wallet?" And the rabbi says, "What wallet? What are you referring to?" He said, No. I lost a wallet over here. And you're the only one here. I mean, did you see the wallet? He said, "I didn't see any wallet." Well, in his frustration, the rich man says, I don't trust you. And he actually starts looking through the pocket of the rabbinic garb. The rabbi is like horrified, like, you are being disrespectful. Not only disrespectful, but in his anger, and perhaps what they call in English, he lost it. He actually looks at the rabbi and says, "You're a thief." And he throws him to the floor. And the rabbi says, "What do you want from me?" And the guy leaves in a huff. Now, this was all in the space of a couple hours. He realizes that his master and teacher wanted him to see this, but it made no sense whatsoever. Why is a rabbi degraded and humiliated? Why should the rich man lose his money? Why should the poor guy take it? Anyway, he came back and he related to his teacher what he had seen. Said the teacher, "So do you understand what happened?" He said, "Of course not. I saw 3 scenes. Not one of them seemed to equal or lead into the second. Because the one that found the money walked away. And the one who's completely innocent was humiliated and thrown down." He said, "Now I'll tell you. In a previous lifetime, there were 2 partners. And they basically had an agreement that there would be 50-50, 50% investment. Each one would give 50%, and each one would take 50% of the profits. One of the partners put in extra time and used his charm to get a very lucrative deal. And now they had a disagreement. The one that put in the effort said, usually it's 50-50, but in this case I should get more. And the other partner said, no, 50% is 50%. So being that they were both partners and good people, they said, let's go to the rabbi. What does the Torah say? It just so happens to be that that day the rabbi was very preoccupied and did not really have the patience to do the research. So whatever knowledge he had, and he was a scholar, he said that partner A should give up his extra, because 50% is 50%, and partner A was not happy with that, but if that's what the Torah says, that's what he'll do. Anyway, after a long life, all three of these people, the two partners and the rabbi, their souls go to heaven. And in heaven, the whole life is seen again. And it became very, very clear that partner A was right. He should not have had to pay 50%. He actually deserved more. But why did he do it? It was the rabbi's fault. The rabbi told him this is what the Torah is. But now when the rabbi's soul is in heaven, he sees that if he would have actually done the research that he should have done, that was his job, he would have come to the right conclusion. So there's a problem. Partner A lost money. So what happened was, it was destined that partner A should be reborn as the poor fellow, and partner B, who received the money unjustly, or in this case, not according to Torah law, would be the rich man, and that he would lose the money so his partner would get it. What about the rabbi who should have done his research? He deserves to be punished. Not terrible punishment, but he was accused of being a thief, and he was humiliated. So now you get the rest of the story. What's the point? What the rabbi was trying to teach his student, which he understood on his own, to tell you the truth, but he saw it graphically, that we only see segments of life. We only see parts of time. But it would be nice to know what happened before this time and what will happen after this time. Which leads me to another very beautiful anecdote. There was a very prominent rabbi in Safat, actually quite recent, without saying his name, and the people would come and ask him for advice and for Torah inspiration. And there was one fellow who had one misfortune after another. The rent went up, he had to relocate, the business went down, he was losing money, one of the children became sick. It was like just hitting him one after another. So he comes to the rabbi and he says, Rabbi, I got to tell you what's going on. And he tells over the whole thing, like for a half hour, all of his misfortunes. And the rabbi says, you didn't tell me the whole story. So he figures the rabbi really wants more information. So he gives a little bit more information about the rent, a little bit more information about the business, and a little bit more information about the sickness. The rabbi's listening. He said, but you still didn't tell me the whole story. So what part of the story did you not hear? So he said, the part where everything works out. You see, because right now the world is collapsing in front of you. God willing, with Hashem's help, whether it be a week from now or tomorrow or 10 years from now, you will see how all of these so-called or misfortunes actually all work out for the better. So your new home, you meet nicer people that are your neighbors. One of them will eventually marry your daughter or son, and the business that you're eventually going to go away from will give you a different business, will give you more time for your family. You didn't tell me the whole story, but I don't know the whole story. Fine. No one knows the whole story, but we have faith, we have belief, and we have to act as if we already know the story. I think of this because I don't know what's going on. There's so much happening for the Jewish people, against the Jewish people, why the Jewish people, what's happening in Israel, and each and every one of you that's following the news, whether it be in America or in Israel or both together, it is really confusing. Like, what's the plan? And the answer is, it would be nice to know, but we're in the middle of the story. It's all going to work out. So I'm going to reassure you the way I reassure myself, the way I am reassured by my teachers and by the Torah itself. It's all for the best. How it's going to be for the best, we do not know. So what we should do is make the best of the moment. More mitzvahs, more Torah. It's a happy month, more joy, more proactive, additional increase in goodness, in kindness, in holiness, and I'll repeat again, in joy, in optimism. You say, how can we do all of that when all of this is happening? It's only part of the story. I really hope and pray that by the next YouTube, we'll know more of the story, how it's all working out, how it's all bringing a more glorious tomorrow, a more glorious future, with the glorious entry of the Messianic era unfolding. It's unfolding now. Let's hang in there until we see the story complete. Shalom.